The Western Indians always play hard, and the Western Indians are committed to being the best. With time and hard work, we will get there.
Legendary coach Lou Holtz said, "You can't win without good players, but you can lose with them." And that's where coaching makes the difference. No matter the sport, no matter the endeavor. Rarely is anything significant accomplished without strong, confident leadership. I'm Ruby, and I grew up in the Appalachian foothills of Southern Ohio. I'm going to tell you a story from where I grew up. It's a story about growth, friendship, and teamwork. It's a story about basketball. This is a story about the greatest 4-17 high school basketball team in history. Sometimes coaches are brought into situations that are less than ideal. That was the case for the 1987-88 Western Indians basketball team. This squad, beloved by the Southern Ohio town of Latham, was just coming off a winless 1987 season. Spirits were as low as the expectations. The 87 Indian squad had promise. Those seniors had a history of winning at every level. They were county champions in junior high and had a winning record at the junior varsity level. The community hoped that they would compete for a league or even a state championship. Things didn't pan out that way. In fact, they couldn't have been worse. Major injuries to 3 of the key players led to bad losses at the start of the season. As the season wore on, the strain of the winless streak became a tremendous burden. And the win? Well, it never came. What's more, the future didn't look bright for the 88 team. The Indian squad had one returning player with starting experience, senior Matt Daniels.
That 87 season that we never won a game didn't bother us one single bit. I think that we thought that, and it's really a shame, but for me, winning was just a bonus. Basketball was fun, being all together was fun, and playing those games was fun. And if we won, that just bonus.
That's because you got to play.
So
I think Brett and I would say we wanted to win. Right? So you was out there having fun. We're 0-16. We're like, why can't you just give us a chance? And I think the funny thing about that, Shane, is that team before us was supposed to be the next 82 team, the next team, because we had won the county, or at least been at the top of the county. They were like, 16-4 when they were sophomores as reserve. And so the community was like, this is going to be our team. And then, some bad luck happened and all that. And it just spiraled down to where he's right, that getting stats and all that were more important. And quite frankly, we didn't expect to win. We lost the game 100-39.
Harry and I were dressing varsity at that time, the 87 team, and we didn't mind either because that gave us a lot more playing time because coach was like, go away, go sit on the bench. And he put me, him, and a couple other guys in, so it didn't bother us either.
86, I'm dressing varsity and I'm sitting on the bench and there's 2 minutes to go. And you remember that Manchester team that had the Perkins boy and them guys was like 6'8", 6'9", you know? And Kyle Mosteller looks at me. I shouldn't be name calling, but he looks at me and goes, man, I hope you don't put us in. Hey, look, he says, I don't really care to take a shower. He said, I don't want to get sweaty. He goes, I hope you don't put us in. And, you know, that's just crazy that's the way as well was.
Yeah.
Well, there was no expectations from, you know, the players, so to speak. It was like we were just there having fun. You know, we got to play basketball. We loved basketball, but we didn't want it to be a job. Why we got to work so hard at this? You know, that's not fun. There was just no discipline. Just kind of go out there and do your thing. And I mean, in all honesty, you knew you could get by with it.
Us juniors was in a situation that we had no control of. We could have been the stud of the Southern Hills League, and we'd probably still been sitting there on the bench watching us get beat.
Right.
You know, what do you stand up? I mean, midway through the season, do you stand up and say, hey,
something's not working.
if this ain't working, I ain't going to be a part of it. Right. You know, today, if I was in a situation, and that's not a quitter, that's just like, we're going to change together, or I'm not going to be a part of it.
I think the biggest smack in my face that probably I still haven't gotten over was that we didn't play in the first holiday tournament in Pike County.
I've thought about that. Yeah.
I'm like, you mean tell me you're going to bring Peoples over here to play against Eastern? These kids I played T-ball against, I can't play against them here because we didn't win a game last year. I don't know who's in charge of that, but they're on my list.
It's not all about winning and losing. Maybe it is. It's not being competitive. I mean, we just absolutely were not competitive. No one seemed to be concerned about it. I mean, seriously. I mean, the people that should have been concerned about it, the people that could have changed it, was not concerned. There's a lot to be learned. If nothing else, to stay out of them situations.
And I want to say, too, that's not those guys' fault, because I honestly think that they did try the hardest they could try. And I'm talking about the coaching staff. You know, they just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Well, they filled a void. I mean, our school had one of the top coaches in Ohio. It was going to be tough to follow him, no matter who came along, no matter how many games you won. I don't think it was one person's fault. I think it was a lot. I think our community grieved when Hecky left. Yeah, there's a lot of things that came together and just that culmination, but that needed to stop.
Well, and we knew the coaching staff. A lot of us hung out at coaching staff's houses in summertime. Different coaches that we had in between that period with Hecky and Van. So there was a relationship there that Van didn't have when he came in.
You know, to add to all that stuff is, you know, we didn't have a program. It was, you know, there wasn't the bitty ball that got started on Saturday mornings and the varsity guys involved with it. I mean, that was all new to us.
I guess we knew for me, I knew I was supposed to be in the gym in the summertime getting better, but I chose not to. Why? I don't know. I wish I could go back in time, because I think I could have got a lot thinner and a lot better if I'd have been in the gym.
I don't know. I never missed the gym.
You can see what happened. Yeah, because you was within walking distance.
Yeah, walk down there. You probably even dribble the ball down, dribble it back.
Like you said, I don't think any of us thought that was a big deal to miss.
Right, that's exactly right.
That's exactly right.
There's just no organization before.
There's an image in my head from that summed up that period for Western, for me anyway, was at Manchester, the 100-39 game. I literally just come out of the game and I untied my shoes. There's like 10 seconds. So I started untying my shoes, and their kid goes to dunk it, and Brett blocks him, hits him on the head. And I thought all of Manchester were going to fight us. I'm like, are you serious? You're going to fight us after beating us 139? Well, tie my shoes back up. You know what I mean? But it was that feeling of like being beat that bad and being disrespected and all that. And that just seemed oddly normal.
So having Brian's perspective is probably a little bit different going into 88, because they just had a rock star season as 8th graders, right? You guys,
we did. Yeah.
So you guys knew how to win. But you guys was so green, you just stood smiling at us all the
We didn't
time.
know what to do. We took advice from you guys.
Oh yeah,
way to go. It worked out well.
Well, what was crazy about our community, though, is that gym was always full. Even when we were bad. We owed more to this community than what we were giving back, that's for sure. But we just didn't know what it was like. We relied on all the old stories from the superstars from the 68, 69 teams.
We didn't know he was doing it wrong. I'm not serious. And that's, but I think that's the thing. And it happened, I think it's just me and Sean and Gary were on the baseball team, but the year after we went 0-21 in basketball, and then baseball season comes around, we got a new baseball coach as well. It was early on in the season when Jeff Noble, he was like, you guys don't even care if you do not care. I mean, he was like, this whole, everybody out here like this? And it just struck me. And he probably said it to me. I was wearing my sunglasses, in the dugout. And I wasn't in. I'd started the year, and then he benched me for Harry Steele to play first base because Harry was better at baseball than me, probably. But he's like, what are you? He said, look at you. I'm like, what? I'm sitting there with my arms crossed with sunglasses on in the dugout. He said, you have not. He just walked away. I'm like, wow, there's something different that we need to change here.
For their new coach, Western hired Van Henry. Van came to Western with a history of winning. He was the point guard for 3 straight Ohio high school Final Four teams, winning 2 titles. Coached by legendary Charlie Huggins, those 2 championship teams are in the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame. Prior to coming to Western, Van had a successful run as coach for the Caldwell Redskins in East Central Ohio. Van remembered playing Western in a tournament game during their championship run. Though the Rebel team would prevail, he was impressed by the grit and determination of the Western players. He thought that if that same fire existed in those kids down in Latham, he could turn them into winners. And he set out to do just that.
Tell me some stories about me and my dad that first year.
So here's what I remember about Coach. He was one of the most beautiful human beings I ever laid eyes on, with that bronze body. Hey, I'm serious. This dude rolls in, dark complected, in shape, in his jeans, never wore a shirt. Then you got Mini-Me sitting right beside him that looks exactly like him.
I remember we was at some track meet at Waverly, and I walked through the gate, and I had a huge chew of snuff in. And Van was with someone, and they introduced me to him, and this is your new coach. Oh. It wasn't a couple days after that, Van called me in Gabby's office, of course, and told me, he said, I chew as well. He said, but do not do it in public. That was end of. That was the last conversation we ever had.
So your dad tells one of the greatest stories ever, and I'm probably not going to tell it right, but that first open gym that your grandpa came down. It said your dad or your grandpa looked at your dad and was like, have you lost your mind?
We didn't understand what he had experienced before us.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously working with Bob and playing to Charlie. He obviously experienced something that none of us ever even knew existed.
We was sitting in Mrs. Theobald's classroom before the season started. I don't even know if practice had even started yet. It was maybe like was trying to get to know him kind of thing. And he asked us, can you guys tell me who the best players are coming in to this year from the Southern Hills League? Man, we start naming off the Scott kid from Peebles, the boys from over at Fairfield, and
West Union kids,
the Lynchburg boy that was real big. And after that, he tells us, that blows my mind that nobody in this room got mentioned. We just come 0-21. There wasn't anybody sitting in that room that was going to be tops in the SHL that we knew of.
You might thinking Matt was going to go, well, me. He would have loved that if I'd have said that.
Yeah. I remember one of the first things Van said as he introduced us, he's like, guys, you need to get ready. He said, you're going to see a lot of prom dresses this year. You're going to play every homecoming, every team, every away game, there's going to be a dance. People want to win that game, and they're going to schedule you. Yes, he wasn't wrong.
He wanted to, he tried to weed out the weak ones, but I'm kidding.
You're good.
He was super hard on us because, you know, he wanted those strong, mental, tough guys on his team.
Not very far into that first year that he was here, whether we liked what he was doing or not, we would have run through that wall for him. Now, we still might not have liked him once we run through that wall. But I think he had taught us, I think that he had us all to that point to where we were willing to do it.
And you did he would for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which made it.
Exactly.
Well, we learned that at Eastern Brown.
Eastern Brown.
We're like, with that going, he got kicked out. And then we that was
It
awesome.
just made a huge difference that, like I said, whether or not we agreed or we liked it, we would have all done that, knowing that he would have been there run through it first if he had to. He would have knocked it down for us to run through it, and it's not something that we had ever seen.
He used the phrase a lot, I'd go to war with you guys. Just that camaraderie. He would go into battle with us. He'd have led us to play a Division II team. I mean, he would have. Made us feel like we had a chance. And that wouldn't, like I said, it's just a shift in thinking that, you know, it's special. There were other things that were different too. Like we had bonfires before, like the night before game. Remember that? Like that was, to me, that like, what? This is cool. The whole community come out. We were out down, you know, at the old school and had a bonfire and all the Leatherman jackets on. And it just, we felt like he made us feel special. He sent me and him out to Waverly to pose with Pepsi and with the boys from Eastern, right? His selection process though was, you guys live close to Waverly, don't you? Yeah, not too far. Okay, then go. It wasn't like he was going to sit his best players or whatever. That's how he picked us.
There was a scouting report that he handed out. Remember those?
Yeah, we had those.
It had scouting reports. Sean, you're going to be guarding this guy. This is what he does. It just blew my mind that someone actually had that much knowledge to look at tape. And
he wasn't always right though. It was West Union? Yeah, it was West Union. He said, "Oh, this kid, he couldn't score 10 points if you left him in the gym all night by himself," and he had 28. That will show you. He didn't have 10. No, he had 28. So he missed his scouting report. There wasn't cool, but he would bring us in different times. I don't know if you were in there with us when he called the Gazette. After our game, we lost to New Boston. We got beat pretty bad. New Boston had a good team that year. It was the very first game. So Gazette writes, Western continues its losing ways, losing 22 in a row. He said, now, first of all, we're at least lost 23 in a row because we didn't win the state tournament in 86, right? Because that's what we won. We lost our last game the year before that, so give that team some credit. He said, and that's not my team. He said, never, if you're going to write things like this, then you never write another article about my team. I don't want to see you out here. I want you covering my team. He said, I'll never give you another stat.
If you didn't play the way he wanted you to play, you were coming off that floor. But after a while, you just, you respected him for it.
Culture change isn't easy. Sometimes you have to do some unorthodox things to get your players' attention.
We had 8 players on our team. He calls me into his office, like official. Eric, when you see him in my office, it wasn't his office, it's Gabby's. So I'm like, all right. So he's behind Gabby's desk and he goes, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to cut you. I'm like, we only have 8 people. How you gonna cut it? I know it's trying out. You know what I mean? So I was on the team. My dad's on the school board.
But you know who I am. You know who I am.
No, he calls me in and said, I'm going to have to cut you. And I'm like, I couldn't believe. He said, you just don't do anything. He said, you add nothing. He said, you don't guard anybody. You don't rebound. You don't shoot that well. You can't pass. You don't dribble well. He said, there's nothing you do that's good. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I can't believe this. And so I'm like, all right, I'll show you. And I end up starting this is before the season even started. And I started the first game.
I'd never been sent to the locker room in practice for sure. And that happened for me as a junior, 2 or 3 practices in. They just said I was hustling and sent me to the locker room. And I said, for how long? He said, I don't want to see you till tomorrow. And, I didn't even know what to think about that. And I remember going home that night and telling my dad, this guy's going to be gone here in a week or 2. He just ran yeah. So there's no way he's going to last. And, it didn't take long though. He's just stoic. It's so stoic when he first came and you just didn't know how to read it.
You don't know what you don't know, and we're cruising through until he kicks me out of the gym at Southeastern. And then I went, holy cow, what are we dealing with here? He threw me out because I didn't die for the basketball. He said, you're a senior, I don't have time. Only he screamed it after he had already bounced his watch off the wall and blowed it in about 1,000 pieces because it wouldn't stay on his wrist. And I'm like, what? What in the world? Why are you kicking me out? Because it didn't even register I was supposed to die for that basketball. And Steve's like, come on. And Steve Martin takes me to the locker room and we sat down together. And I'm like, Steve, what just happened? Because I don't even understand. And he said, you didn't die for that basketball. Are you kidding me? I'm done getting ready to get in the shower because I didn't die for a basketball. That was the light bulb moment for me.
There's only one coach that we of us played for that would have left their best player at the school, made him drive up, made him follow over the bus all the way to Richmondale in their car. I forgot about it. You remember it now, but I didn't. Next to you, I found out later, my grandpa. Right. Well, listen, he was making up stories like my bus won't go again. I didn't know nothing. Right? They said, "They said, go on, Ruben." Ruben said, "How I just come by there?" He said, "Go on, Ruben." And finally, he put her a gear and went. There you come back. How it come big old single wide about, laid it up like this, and it follows all the way. So they made his grandpa leaving.
When we went into the first season, is we knew, whether we liked it or not, we knew that there was expectations and there was going to be discipline, and here's how things are going to go. Now you can either be a part of it, or you can choose not to be a part of it, but it's going to be this way. I don't think there was any doubt in any of us guys, the older guys here's mind, we were going to play no matter what. I'm just not sure that we all thought we were going to like it.
Oh, we quit. Matt Daniels and I quit the team at least 20 times. Going home. We joined on the way back to school. But yeah, you want to go back to practice today? I reckon. Me too. I'm done, Aric. I'm serious. I ain't gonna step on that floor ever again. I don't care. I ain't done it. So are you sure? I'm sure. I'm serious. I'm not. In the morning, pick me up. Want to practice? Yeah.
He set us all down Valley. You remember that? I think all 5 starters got hit the bench, and that was it. The night was over.
I remember that.
I mean, it was over. We're looking at each other going, what in the world did we do? You can believe there was a purpose behind that. And it probably wasn't something that happened in that game. There was a statement being made right at that point for some reason. Because he said all 5 starters. And that was it. It was over. The night was over. We did not go back in. Remember that, Brett, down in Valley?
And it's the second half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of game left.
There was a lot of game left because we was thinking, okay,
so put us back in.
We didn't go back in the whole night. And then if you would watch any films after that of games, you'll see Matt Daniels launching into the I did it several times trying to save balls from going out of bounds in games. I was throwing my body into the crowd.
The wins didn't come as quickly as they would have liked. But this version of the Western Indians started getting attention and turning some heads.
Your dad preached from day one, I'm going to give you every tool possible to try to win. But the one thing we will do every single game consistently is play our very hardest. You guys remember that? He beat that into our head. If we walk off that floor losers, it's not going to be because we didn't throw everything we had at them. And that started to echo through the community. I can remember, people said, my God, that Latham team's playing pretty hard.
Everywhere you went that year, people were talking about Van. What do you think, Coach? What's up with this guy? It was a complete culture change from how we were playing, what they were seeing on the floor, the product he was putting out. It was an exciting time. It really was.
I remember, and he said this numerous times to us, I don't care, me as a coach, if I'm right or wrong, if I got 5 kids on the floor all doing what I'm asking them to do and playing as hard as they can, even if I'm dead wrong, we'll be okay.
I mean, your dad, he made sure that we were prepared to win. whatever it was, whatever we had to do to make sure that we thought we could walk in that gym, thought we had a chance to win. If we do this, we'll win. If we do this, I'll be pulling you out and I'll be putting this soft for you.
That year, we become competitive in every game. Whereas, before that, in a couple years, it was just, we weren't out there competing.
We didn't lose 21 games. We absolutely got blown. And we were close in a couple games, but it was just not competitive. We just weren't competitive. And we went into every game the next year thinking we could win. We was telling the haircut story earlier when we all went to the barbershop and
got the
flat top.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
That's the mentality difference. In 87, the five of us got the same haircut.
No, we become a team. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Is, no matter what our record was or what, we were a team. And then we looked after each other and we cared. And before that, not that we didn't care about each other. It was just not a big deal.
So isn't that funny to sit here and think about how that season went? Because we finally, especially after we win, and we get a little bit of that in us. We wanted to win then.
Yeah.
And we lost several that was by 1 point, but I can remember, that switching the gear. Now we want to win. We don't want to win for Western or for Coach. We want to win for ourselves because that feels pretty good. And I go back to the trade-off, he was killing us in the gym. We worked harder that year, and all you guys know, we've never had practices the way Van Henry had. We had practices.
Well, it was 5 o'clock because practice is over. Let's go. And when we were ready to go, then he'd be like,
and so those wins were earned.
Yeah.
And that's the difference right there.
The tremendous weight of not winning was lifted from the Western Indians at Ripley as they fought their way to a 47-43 win. Matt Daniels led the Indians in scoring with 23 points, but it was a total team effort as guards Roger Bowles and Howard Woods handled Ripley's half-court trap and converted into layups. Sean Fight added 10 points and Brett Baconhauster held Ripley's leading scorer to 4 points and pulled down 9 big rebounds.
The Ripley game being so powerful because we'd won 27 or 28 games without winning a game. And I can remember sitting in the locker room in tears, looking at your dad saying, I don't want to get dressed. I want to sit right here in this uniform and enjoy every second of that.
I was the last one out of the locker room.
So the way I remember that is my sophomore year when we won a game, it was just a bonus. Go 28 in a row and then win one after you've killed yourself. Because Van, what was that, number 7 or 8 in the season when we finally won?
Yeah, it was in the
And so, there was a lot of blood left on the floor getting to that point. So that one was earned. That one felt earned, not given.
A coach gets a team for a season. In high school basketball, that's about 7 months, 200 days. That's not a lot of time. But if no opportunity is wasted, a coach can provide lessons that last well beyond those 7 months.
The season came to an end at Hillsborough in the sectionals against a strong, experienced Fairfield team. Western played a very good game and put an exclamation point on the statement that they had been making all season. That statement being, the Western Indians come to play. The Western Indians always play hard, and the Western Indians are committed to being the best. With time and hard work, we will get there.
How has my dad's impact on your life helped you now? 33 years later?
You have to remind us in your second grade.
Okay, this one's an easy one for me. Van Henry taught Matt Daniels how to be mentally tough. Van Henry taught Matt Daniels that when you think that you've given it all you got to right here, you can still reach here if you fight through. With my marriage, with business, jobs, I would have given up a long time ago if I didn't know how to fight through mentally. Because, all of you guys can say this. As an adult, there's some really tough times out there. And it's real easy just to throw the towel in. Or you can fight through and be mentally tough. Van Henry, without a shadow of a doubt, taught Matt Daniels how to be mentally tough.
When the coach would never say that I ever got to the point of being as mentally tough as he thought I could be. I was probably the smartest kid on our team. He thought I should have been able to handle things better than I did, and I didn't handle things real well. I think I'm probably a mentally tough adult, but I wasn't a mentally tough 17-year-old, 16-year-old, and he was rough on me. The fact that he's taught us all to set expectations for ourselves, and if you don't do these things, you won't be on the floor. And for my employees, these are the things Western teachers will always do and will never do. Western kids, I've told my kids over the years, listen, you will not, when you're on the floor, you will give your best effort. You won't embarrass us. You won't back talk to officials. You won't this, and this. All those things came from those expectations that were set when we were in high school.
Van, he taught you to be mentally tough. And I was pretty hard on my daughter. And a lot like Van was on us, but that's one of the things that stand out the most with me, for Van. It's just, you had to be mentally tough or you wasn't going to make it.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, looking back, look, we all thought, he was pretty rough on us, right?
I hated his guts most days.
Right. I mean, it's true.
We quit basketball like 20 times.
But,
looking back on it with how, we've all got kids in here. I mean, how you've handled some of the times when maybe they haven't lived up to your expectations or made mistakes. I mean, looking back on it, I'm sure probably all of us sitting here have handled them kind of the same way he did with us.
I think how to win without winning the game. That's what I picked up that first 2 years. But we were 4-17 in '88 and '89. We were 6-15. We only won 10 ball games between 2 years. But by the time I graduated, I knew how to win without getting the ultimate prize there at the end. They're just being resilient in life. It's always, anytime I faced adversity, those years always come back to them.
I've said for years, I learned way more about life on the basketball court than I ever did the classroom. Stuff you come up with on a daily basis, I mean, family and work, whatever, you just automatically revert right back to it. We'll work through this. And Gary touched on something there that I bet it comes in my head once a week. 33 years later, when you work it through, and Van saying, I'd rather everybody, all of us, going the wrong way together than everybody else spreading out doing their own thing. He said we'd be better off doing the exact opposite of where we want to go together. But sooner or later, we'll figure it out. We'll all turn around,
Right. That's right.
And boy, I ain't kidding. I think of that at least once a week.
Your dad gave me courage. At that point, like I said, I coached for him for a year. Then after that year, he said, Aric, you need to go away from here. I don't know if this causes a bad coach.
He thought you need to go back to school.
I'm going to catch you thing.
He's going to cut me from that. No, but he said, leave here. He said, he gave me courage, and I never thought about it. I was going to go to OU, get my medical degree, and stay in Pike County and live on the lake and all that. And he said, there's a war out there. And he said, everything is here. It's going to be just good, just as bad as it is right now. And he's right. I mean, this is a great place to live. Most people here live in this community. And Brock's here with us. He's making this school something very special. But he said, go away. You can always come back. And I've been doing that ever since. I mean, I didn't go far at first, but, it's just this whole, you don't have to be confined to what, you had the first 18 years of your life shoved in your head. And it gave me a lot of courage to say yes to a lot of things that most people would have said I should have said no to.
And to have it's okay to have goals and set high expectations. And I use a lot of that stuff today with my son. I truly believe it helps me be a better father.
Another thing your dad said a lot, and this was actually about basketball, but I think it applies more to life when he would say, you can't dribble through a full court press. You can't. It's a life thing. If life's pressing you, you can't do it yourself.
His discipline was something all of us been successful in life, and I attribute most of that to Van Henry. I went to the service a week after I graduated, and the discipline there
wasn't nothing.
It wasn't nothing. Really, that may seem, I know that seems trivial, but I was prepared for it. I was totally prepared for that lifestyle because we had went through that the last 2 years. So
There's another element. It was funny because there was a lot of discipline, but there were other things that he actually was able to loosen us. I remember he one of the things he said, we played very tight. Like it was basically bounce, pass, and chest pad, right? None of this behind the back stuff. Well, not that you're going to do that, but like I remember he got on Gary one time because Gary would wince when he missed a shot. So he was wincing like all day.
Yeah, every time I shot.
No, Gary's awesome. But I'm saying, remember you had that habit. Like, Ben's like, have you ever missed a shot? He goes, yeah. He said, you're gonna miss more of them. Quit doing that. Get back, guard somebody. You know, don't worry about if you miss. And I think that's one thing I've taken for Van too. Is like, you know, if I miss a shot, you know, and I'm not talking about basketball, I'm talking about life. Oh, you missed. Okay. Let's just don't make some bad decisions here afterwards, and you'll be fine. And yeah, that's I remember.
I mean, that's true. I mean, and that's hey, you know, you can't be afraid to fail. And you know, things like that. Well, I never thought about that. I never thought about those things because you never heard. You never heard. So I mean, if someone would have said that before a band got me, like, okay, what are you talking about?
I think if this crew could have had Van when we were freshmen, these guys could have. I don't know what would have happened because these guys had 1 year, like he said, 4 or 5 months. As all that season lasted with these guys, I dare to wonder what would have happened if we'd have had him.
There's a lot of things as far as regrets go. There's a lot of things I wish I would have done different. You know, I wish I would have went to those open gyms like Brett did. You know, I look back on it, I wish I'd have done that. I don't know that I could have back then, but I can guarantee you this. When the switch finally flipped, I have zero regret about I gave it everything I had every game. You know, it may not have been up to his expectations some nights, but in my mind, I couldn't give any more than I gave.
Had he not showed up at the time he did, I'm not sure what would have happened, but he always seemed to find a way to push you a little more, to go a little further than what you thought you could.
That's what a coach does.
Yeah.
Your dad, I mean, I don't know how many coaches we played for in our life. Like all the coaches I ever played for, there's only one. As an adult, when I talk to him, I call him coach, and that's your dad.
As John Wooden once said, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life.
Senior Aric Grooms supplied tremendous leadership and maturity to a very young team. Much of the time, Aric wasn't sure how much or when he would be called upon. He handled his coming through and doing everything he could to help us win. Senior Roger Bowles' outstanding quickness contributed much excitement to Western basketball. He was among team leaders in steals and assists. Only a coach could appreciate the things that Senior Brett Baconhaster did for our basketball team. He was an outstanding defender and a vicious rebounder. He was also a capable scorer with big games against White Oak, Eastern Pike, Eastern Brown, and Fairfield. Senior Matt Daniels came a long way to fill a big role for the 1988 Indians. He was the player the Indians went to when they needed a big bucket. In many games, he took over offensively down the stretch. A tremendously likable young man, he led the Indians and was among the leaders in the area in scoring, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage. Junior Gary Lake's a tremendous competitor who will always fight back regardless of circumstances. He is a young man who you would take to war with you. Gary will surprise future opponents as he develops his game and becomes a very good basketball player. Junior Sean Fight is another scrapper who battled inside with much taller opponents. Sean never shies away from pressure situations, and his development is vital to make the Indians champions. Brian Mustard was never intimidated as a freshman playing varsity. He took the ball to the basket with a purpose. As he develops his perimeter shot, he will be unstoppable one-on-one. He must handle this early success and stay hungry. Howard Woods was an outstanding player for Western as a freshman. He led Western in rebounding, assists, steals, was our main ball handler, always guarded the opponent's best ball handler, and still managed to score more points than any freshman in Western basketball history. If Howard learns from his experience and keeps that burning desire to excel, he could become a truly great player. These 8 young men, along with their parents, the community, cheerleaders, teachers, administration, and school board, have gone a long way to putting Western basketball up where we belong.
You got all of these.
He's got. You got the highlight reel? Do that.
The 80.
I want to talk about the. Yeah, well, I want to talk about the highlight reel. As soon as Coach gave it to me, he goes, "I'm really sorry, I had to put all your highlights in slow motion." Like, you could have played me more. I didn't know you was looking for footage. You got it.
Ohio 104. It's been a while since I've been back. Stopped by Noel's corner store. There's Margie Davis still walking around town to see it's love she's been looking for. And I don't get that feeling much anymore. I started thinking maybe I should come back home. And there's a buddy of mine said the plan's gonna hire if the levy gets the votes. But I got unfinished business, a dream that I'm living in, a million places to go. But it's good to know that I can still come home. Drove by the high school I went to, pulled in the parking lot. And I can still remember that night Michelle and I got caught. I'm sure she found somebody else to love, and I missed out on my one shot. Then again, maybe not. I started thinking maybe.
What was it like meeting my dad and learning from my dad?
Again.
What was it like meeting my dad and learning from my dad?
One more time.
What was it like learning from my dad and meeting my dad?
Do it again, but say it the right way.
This is awful.
You're doing great. You'll think you can be in the movies after I'm done with this. Do it again. You change your hat, but other than that, neither.
What was it like meeting my dad and learning from my dad?
Oh, that's good.
That's
Do it again. That's why you just.
No wonder he almost cut you.
Might still stand.
You understand? Daddy says just work hard, you can come back anytime. Crossing over the city line, headed out of town. It always seems to cross my mind how easy I could turn around. So I think maybe I could come back home. I'd have my family to love, my friends to hug, and I could watch my nephew grow. But I got unfinished business, a dream that I'm living in, a million places to go. But it's good to know that I can still come home. crossing over the railroad tracks, Ohio 104.